I feel like this has not gotten any attention, and I feel like it should. And I want to share it with y'all. We all know Trump is a pedophile. Like, let's be realistic. And I don't know if anyone remembers the movie Spotlight or remembers the time, it was like a little bit after 9/11, where a Boston News article came out regarding the Catholic Church and how there was basically the Catholic Church knew that their priests were sexually abusing children, and instead of firing them, instead of removing them from churches, they would move them to different parishes in different countries, and obviously priests would assault more children. It was a huge story. It's actually the reason my mom stopped raising us Catholic. I was actually raised Catholic until then. My mom lost a lot of faith in the Catholic Church because of that. Washington State decided recently, hey, you know what? I think we should do something regarding the parishioners and the priests who listen to confessions. They should be able to go and report a sexual assault, a sexual abuse, child abuse they hear from confessions. So for example, if someone comes in and says, I am a pedophile, they have to report in 48 hours to the police. Or for example, they hear someone comes into confession saying, I am a victim of, and names the person. They have to go 48 hours and in 48 hours to the police, basically making them a mandated reporter. Now, the Trump regime's like, nah, we don't like that. Meanwhile, Trump's not even fucking Catholic. Let's make that clear. And so the DOJ was like, you know what? We're not going to do that. Instead, what they did was this. These motherfuckers literally filed against the state of Washington. This is from an MSNBC article. In its filing, the DOJ claims the law set to go into effect in July deprives Catholic priests of their fundamental right to freely exercise their religious beliefs. As guaranteed under the First Amendment, the filing states that because punishment for directly violating the sacramental seal of confession is excommunication, a more direct burden on the exercise of religion would be difficult to imagine. The local archbishop has already threatened to excommunicate any priest who follows the law and violates the confessional. So while Trump is in the middle of this scandal about him possibly being in the Epstein files, he's in the Epstein files, just saying. He and his DOJ were like, you know what? Nah, let's not have this happen. Let's protect pedophiles. Let's protect child abusers because it's safe for the First Amendment. Meanwhile, he's locking up people for writing an op-ed. He's locking up people for protesting for Palestine. And this is such bullshit being like, it's against the First Amendment. So I feel like a lot of people should know about this because I just don't understand how it's possible that Trump is literally in cahoots with pedophiles, sex traffickers, and he's just now covering up for more pedophiles and sex traffickers when the entire MAGA base is like, give us the Epstein files. It makes zero sense. I think it's fucking hilarious that he's so stupid. But in and of itself, like on a serious note, I think it's just insane that it's 2025 and we're still having this conversation. I think it's also insane considering that the Catholic Church literally had a huge, and to this day probably has a severe issue with priests and sexually abusing children and molesting children. It's not something that's new. And so I think that it's really upsetting for the children in Washington who need that protection, or the adolescents in Washington. And I think that this is just another way for Trump to away with protecting sex offenders. And it's ridiculous. I was looking to see if Pope Leo had said anything regarding this situation, and he hasn't. I'm wondering if he would get involved with this because he is the Pope. I'm not really sure though. All I do know though is people would rather protect abusers of children rather than the children themselves. And that's the thing I think we need to focus on, not just with Trump and his regime, but also the Catholic Church. They would rather protect pedophiles, and that's a serious issue. I think it's important that people know about this, especially if you live in Washington, because Washington was trying to do the right thing. And there was no reason for the president and his DOJ to get involved at all. I don't even know why that's even allowed, to be completely honest. And I think it's kind of ridiculous how upset the head archbishop is, and is like, if you follow this law, we're going to excommunicate you. It's like, go fuck yourself, buddy. Like, literally go fuck yourself. And there's just so much problems with the Catholic Church. I could go on and on. But if you want to learn more about like the beginning of unveiling the situations regarding the Catholic Church moving priests around to different countries after they've been accused of sexual assault or sexual abuse on children, I would recommend Spotlight, the movie. Incredible movie. Incredible movie. And it really gives you a good look into how much the church will do to protect its own, just as much as the Republicans would do to protect their own, just as much as the Democrats would do to protect their own. It's all about protecting the establishment. And I think it's really important to see those connections. I'm curious what everyone thinks about this. I really wish that this was a bigger topic because it's all connected. Everything's intertwined for a reason. Tell me your thoughts.